Now, he's no stranger to Nollywood and the music industry, not at all. We call him Mr. Capable in some parts. See, I told you, he needs no introduction. But we'll introduce him anyway as our very own Banky W. The question I have is, how much impact do brand ambassadors have with regards to social outreach? Does a healthy social media following serve more powerfully than that of a traditionally PR marketing firm?
I would say that I think the introduction of social media and the prominence of it has changed kind of advertising and outreach and all of those things entirely, because prior to social media being there, kind of like what Sir Oswald Boateng said, now with social media, the people that you want to reach are all there. So your Instagram, your Twitter, your Facebook, and so on and so forth. The entire audience that you're looking for as a company or for a message, for a campaign, whatever it is, everybody's there. And so that has changed the game. So while it doesn't kind of put out traditional media entirely, you have to account for social media to get anything across. And so what you'll find is that, like with Nigeria, a lot of kind of activism-related efforts have kind of started or been inspired first on Twitter. So that a hashtag kind of comes up. So when we did, Occupy Nigeria, when we did Enough is Enough, when we did Light Up Nigeria, it all started as social media hashtags. But the key, I think, for me is that it cannot end on social media. So and that I think is the challenge that we're trying to face now. So, election season is here in Nigeria. Absolutely. And, people are starting to kind of take note of what the governments have done or haven't done and started to kind of point out what is wrong. And when it comes to pointing out what is wrong, our generation seems to be very, very good at that. But the problem is that activism tends to mostly end online. And INEC, if you're a Nigerian, INEC doesn't count tweets. They don't count your likes on Instagram, So all of that, like, we can have these discussions on social media, and, make ourselves feel like we're part of the change. But are we really playing our role if all it does is just end in retweets and hashtags? So the key is that it has to go beyond social media. Social media is a very powerful tool, but it's not the only tool. So the outreach, the activism, whatever it is you're trying to do, especially when it comes to taking Africa global or moving Africa forward or improving Africa, social media is just one tool. It has to extend beyond that. It has to extend beyond tweeting to real activism. I mean, I sit with young people all the time, right? And, these are people who are very active on Twitter and Instagram. And, when the president said something about young people and you saw social media go crazy, but then you sit with the same young people and say, okay, how many people actually have a voter's card? And most times, I'm lucky if in a room full of young people, 10% of them have ever bothered to register to vote. So, talk is cheap, right? Because we can talk from now till kingdom come. It doesn't change anything unless you move beyond talking about it to doing something. And as a citizen, if you're not even registered to vote, then you're not even part of the conversation. Like, let's forget about who the options are for who to vote for or whatever, but in the very least, get your voter's card. Because when you don't, you make rigging easier. You basically just kind of lay the path down for anybody to do whatever they want. And that's one of my favorite sayings is every country has the leadership that it deserves.
Absolutely.
So in Africa, I personally believe that our problems have been that of bad leadership, failed leadership, corrupt leadership, however you want to term it, but also a problem of citizen apathy. So until the citizens of Africa decide that enough is enough, until the citizens decide that, you know what, I'm going to go out and get my voter's card, because when you don't, then you've made it easy for them to steal your vote or to rig it or whatever. But if all of us show up, we greatly outnumber the people that are corrupt, but we all have to show up. We all have to play our role. And so social media can't be the end.
Please give Mr. Capel a round of applause. These issues are relative across the ecosystem, all of Africa. When you talk about new talent, that is also an area where you have two executives here. One is a personality, not just an executive.
He's an artist.
He's an artist. And he's dealt with going from, the grassroots all the way up to the boardroom. So my question to you, and this is a two-part question, the other one goes to Michael, is, Mike, what are the, Magic Mike, what are the challenges your company, what have you experienced embracing opportunities, acquiring new talent? And does this new talent being acquired mean new streams of repeatable income? And then the second question is distribution and licensing. It is a new market. You're managing artists like, David O, or just young people coming up. They may not understand the business, but you need to find a way to license their music without, we don't have a copyright, an effective intellectual property copyright, or anything like that. So that's a two-part question, new talent and monetizing, licensing, and distribution.
I guess I'll go first. Okay. Okay, so challenges in acquiring new talent or new opportunities or new business. So for instance, at EME, we used to be a record label that dabbled in other things. Now we've kind of stopped the record label part of our business and we function as a full-on media agency. So the easiest way for people to understand that is kind of how Jay-Z went from Rockefeller Records to Roc Nation, right? So Rockefeller is a label, Roc Nation is involved in events and advertising and media and all of those things. So that's kind of where we're at now. Now, in terms of challenges, man, I don't know. We don't have enough time to talk about all the challenges.
The main one that people would experience going into that new market.
I would say this. I would say for where we are now and the challenges that we're facing now, do you know that for most of the advertising that you see on most of the, I should say, quality advertising in terms of like the big companies, the big corporates, the big businesses in Nigeria that make a lot of money, most of that advertising, most of that media budget is actually spent in South Africa. And that is because in South Africa, there's a system in place for educating content creators. Nigeria, we know, has been at the forefront of entertainment in Africa for a while. And now it's like not just Nigeria, there's Ghana, there's South African music, there's East Africa with Kenya and all of that. Isn't it sad that in Nigeria we don't have one film school that is, a state of the art or not even world class, but just of a certain level where you're educating this next generation of filmmakers. We don't have one music production school. We don't have one fashion school, despite the fact that we have success stories like Sir Oswald. We have the Maya Tafos. The suit I'm wearing, Maya Tafo made it, and I try to wear only Nigerian-made suits at this point because we have so many talented designers.
It's a Nigerian-made suit as well.
But we need to understand that we have to get past the point of outliers being successful and making it so that it is a conducive environment for somebody who is talented and creative and passionate. There's a conducive environment for them to learn what they need to learn to create opportunity for themselves, right? Unemployment is a huge issue in Nigeria and in a lot of countries in Africa. How many people can the banking or the oil and gas sectors or the telecom sector hire? It's a finite number. The biggest bank in Nigeria can maybe hire 20,000 people in a country of 200 million. So, we need to be honest with ourselves and see that, what? Those sectors are going to do what they're going to do, but that's a finite number. There's not so much you can do with that. Now, we need to get to the point where we empower entrepreneurs, because for every artist, there's an ecosystem of employment under that artist. There's the artist, there's the producer, there's the engineer, there's the assistant, there's the manager, there's the legal team, there's the PR, there's the styling, there's the video shoot, there's the photo shoot, there's the DJ. Do you get? So for every one of those success stories, there's a chain of employment that can lead to further employment. And that is what we need to focus on. Nigeria, it is equally exciting and it's equally frustrating at the same time.
Absolutely.
Because you have all of these talented people, you have all of this, this excitement and this buzz. But when you really drill into it, this is a country that spends the majority of its budget on recurrent expenditure, on running the government. And you talk about education in the world, from a primary level, Nigeria has the most number of children out of school in the world. In the world, Nigeria. It is you know, how do we talk about the future? How do we talk about moving Africa forward if we're not even educating our young ones? If we're, you know, and that's just the primary level. I think that we need to focus on education and empowerment. We need to find a way to make sure that as a country, we're thinking about the things that matter, the things that invest in the next generation of creatives, the next generation of content producers. I direct videos, I direct TV commercials, I'm working on a film. I know the difference when I work with a crew from America or South Africa. And I know that it's not because Nigerians are not talented, it's not because we're not passionate, it's because we just don't have an educational system. So the person who works with the lights has just kind of jumped in, had a passion for it, and is just figuring it out as he goes along.
Yeah, Banky,
as opposed to going to school for it. So education and empowerment. Okay, I'm done.
Please give Banky a round of applause. So this question was posed to Banky W and Sir Oswald, but it's applicable to whoever you guys want to delegate this to. So it's, why do you believe that we still struggle to monetize the growing popularity of our culture?
I think that there are signs that, in other words, okay, so Black Panther is one, right? Wedding Party came along. Shout out Wedding Party. Yeah, my people. Okay. No, but what that did was it showed that you could make a Nigerian movie in Nigeria with a Nigerian cast and a Nigerian story, and it does tremendously well. So it broke all of the records for cinema in Nigeria, and I'm tempted to say in Africa, but don't quote me.
Yeah, on that note, I wanted to say thank you. We've run out of time.
Jesus.
Okay, just
shuts me off like that.
You can't stop now.
I'm getting pressure from
it's okay.
I'm getting the flag. But please go ahead, Banky, finish. No, finish that note. We've broken
records. You have removed the thoughts from my mind. Don't worry, just continue.
I beg no vex. But I wanted to say, give these gentlemen a round of applause. Yes. We have 4 juggernauts on the stage. It's really, really, you need a lot of patience. There's a lot of knowledge here on the stage. But thank you for allowing me to be your moderator.